And here we are with Addendum 2. So I talked about Scarlet. There are much more in depth, professional, better written articles out there about Scarlet. You can find them on the internet. Go ahead. IGN, Game Radar. You could find 50 different places. There are better YouTubers. You could find better reviews, I'm sure, anywhere. Selby, plenty of message boards. And I really didn't want to make a 1 hour video going over a game that I felt like I could tell in the amount of time that I did tell. And there are plenty of details to go over. I do overall feel happy with that video. I feel like I did explain myself about why I gave it the rating that I gave it, what I liked, what I didn't like. Now, one thing that I thought about though is okay, I gave this fat rating. What are we going to do about the other games? Am I going to give a review about that? So I just made a video talking about where Journeys is compared to the other series for me. That's what this is going to be for Scarlet. I don't think you're going to see any kind of follow up where I talk about each other Pokemon game anytime soon, if ever. I played them all the mainstream games, some of them over 20 years ago. And to be honest with you, I don't have the time or desire to replay them just for the sake of making a review. It's possible that after next year, because I already made a schedule for what I want to do with going over other things in the Pokemon anime series wise. After that, to be honest with you, it would be fun to do something with the games, but I wouldn't want it to be half baked. And like I said, this channel's going to get a small facelift going into 2023, and I think it deserves a content update too as far as quality. So I don't want to just say, oh yeah, I remember playing Ruby and Sapphire back in the day. Wasn't that so fun? Oh yeah, I think I remember this. But no, no, I really want it to be scripted, and I'd also, really like to know what I'm talking about. So this will probably be reading things about the games, watching parts of some speed runs, and throwing something together. It's not going to be the most scientific. So you will get videos like what I did for Scarlet at some point. But today I did think, you know what, off the top of my head, I can show where I rank it with the other games. And it's kind of where you probably thought it would be. So I'm going to start with the ones that are at the highest and explain why briefly, and then go down. So red, green, blue, and gold, silver, crystal are all tied. Basically, this is the game that introduces you to Pokemon. You catch Pokemon, you battle Pokemon, they evolve, you can teach them specific moves to battle competitively. This is a game where you have to be social. Big thing back in the day when you all had was a Game Link cable, and most Game Boy games were single player. The Game Link cable, ironically, was made for Tetris, the first Game Boy game, but that's about it. And I didn't know anyone growing up who, um, did co-op Tetris. No way. So the point is, you've got this. It had storyline, pretty simple, pretty charming, inspired a whole franchise. There's just so much about that financial. I mean, fundamentally, what else can I say too? By the way, you get the idea of gym badges and the Pokemon League, a little post game, legendary Pokemon. Got to complete the Pokedex, right? Got to catch them all. Um, it laid the foundation for something, and is it the best story? Does it have the best graphics? No. But here's the thing, it built a foundation that all the way up through the current games, Alola technically rebranded them as, kahunas, and you had the mini kahunas that you battle, but they were basically gym battles. Let's be honest about this. This is the thing that started, and doesn't necessarily deserve to be in first because it started, but it's a foundation that hasn't been abandoned and it's been built on. Felt Gold and Silver continued that. It's great that you can reach the old region too. At a time when this was a new thing, they introduced Night and Day. I thought the story was even better than the first one. I really liked the rival, and the threat that Team Rocket was even without Giovanni. I know in the remakes you run into Giovanni; he's kind of down now. Honestly, again, without going through the whole game, what I want to say is it was very well done. And I think it just kind of continued something that was already very good. It wasn't in itself so much better that you could say it was better than the original ones because it was building on something and it was you could see it. It was a direct sequel. Next is Black and White. I think you're gonna know why I'm saying this. Everyone loved the plot. I agreed too. Everything with N and Team Plasma was very well done. They did a good job for the first time taking a Pokemon game and saying, this is a place in the real world, New Cork City, so New York City. The game was heavily focused on, you know, NYC, but also LA, Hollywood. And I liked for the, you know, bad Game Boy DS graphics they had, how they did do that animation, which is what's supposed to be Hollywood, with I think it was the Tyranitar. I thought that was interesting. Also, as a little kid, I don't remember the original games in your face saying this is Kanto. I remember with the Gold and Silver games, they started talking about this is Johto. If you're a little kid when you just have slow dial-up internet in America, you're not going to know where Kanto is or where Johto is with real-life equivalences. By the time Hoenn came out, I learned, oh yeah, these are regions in Japan. So after you get through Sinnoh, for the first time though, everyone knows Ishu doesn't really Ishu slash it doesn't really say what the title is, but it being United States, that's a little bit of a hint there. Um, but to be honest with you, New Cork City was the giveaway. This is the first time they're having this franchise be something that travels, goes different places. What I also liked too was you had regional only things that kind of gave it a little bit of a reboot. But if you were really missing those Pokemon, don't worry, because once you beat the game, you can see them in Black, White 2. I'm throwing Black and White 2 in there with Black and White. I thought it was a good sequel. It's the first time we had a sequel instead of the tradition where games either get remade or there's a slightly different version. So like what they did with Blue and Yellow and then Crystal. Um, all around really good job. Diamond Pearl. I like how they had taken Pokemon we hadn't seen for a while and given them, um, you know, very noticeably powerful new evolutions. People thought it was too long. I thought it was fine. I mean, I grew up playing the Final Fantasy games. I'm used to very long games, so I actually thought it was fine. Um, it was the first game to make a big deal over the champion. This was the first game where people could play each other over the internet. I believe that's actually why my sister got them first. She wanted to play with some of her buddies. Um, Overall, very good. XY, one of the first games I saw where I was like, wow, Pokemon game actually has pretty graphics. It's not but ugly. They continued representing a new region. I thought they captured France, especially Paris, very well. So I was a history major in college, and I still study history all the time. History podcasts, history books, history YouTube channels. I'm an educator. That's my specialty, social studies. I could appreciate what they were doing, and they made slight references to real historical stuff or echoes and memes of that. I thought that was very, very well done. Um, and I appreciate how it inspired one of the most beloved, anime counterparts to it. One of my best friends really loved these games too, so it was a delight hearing him feel excited about this. I've talked to him about all of the games. This is the one that he got the most excited over. Um, Very good. Next, um, Saffron Violet. So it's kind of a little under the middle, which is what the rating probably would have suggested. I already said what I have to say about it. So next, Ruby and Sapphire. I'm actually surprised it's this low because I have more fond memories than bad. The graphics were a notable upgrade from the original Game Boy to the Game Boy Advanced. You could tell they were trying new things too. Hoenn looks a little different than Kanto and Johto. It's not a direct sequel per se. It's all connected. You have a new team, different organization. They introduce ideas of berries and contests. I guess what falls flat for me though is I've never thought that the side quests in Pokemon are fun. So picking berries and blending them, it just didn't do it for me. Contests should have been like what they are like in the anime. They're not, and I don't think they're fun. That's fine. Uh, I was disappointed by how silly the two new organizations were. And I thought it was cool each version had its own exclusive group, but the whole thing where these are adults and your child character has to tell them to knock it off with their adults. And they're like, yeah, the world should be 90% water or 90% land. It's like, you're really this stupid? Um, Also, the graphics just weren't there at the time to show a Kyogre and Groudon battle that wasn't clunky. So, eh. Um, I have fond memories though, thinking about it. and then Sun and Moon at the very bottom. So I do want to say right off, I don't dislike any of the Pokemon games. I'm obviously just talking about mainstream games right now. I've played a lot of the side games, Legends Arceus, way back in the day, Pokemon Snap. I just want to focus on this though. Um, at some point, I might just give my opinion about Legends Arceus, but it's been out for over a year. I liked it. This is what I'll say in summary. It was stronger than some of these other games, but focusing on Sun and Moon. I remember I'd started a new job at that time, and there was a lot of things going on in my life, and this was a really fun game that I could use to distract myself. My hours were notoriously bad. I really didn't have the energy really to do things or financially to go out and do things as much as I would have liked, see as many friends as I would have liked. So um, this was a nice distraction. I liked that they tried something new. I've always wanted to visit Hawaii. Um, and I know that in Japan, there's a love affair with Hawaii. It's one of those travel to places in the world for Japanese. Hawaii, some of their biggest tourists are people from Japan. So, I could tell they really put in the effort into it. Um, and it was fun. And the graphics were, a small step up from XY, not where we are now, starting with, Sword and Shield. And yeah, honestly, I think the thing that didn't do it for me, though, was just that I didn't think Team Skull was much of a real threat. I thought it was silly how Professor Rose, again, the adult, almost destroys the planet, not knowing what he's doing, though. I did like it was a message for climate change, though. That was nice. But it just felt a little, didn't feel as diverse as far as different places, and I don't think that saying, well, we've got kahunas now, and then some minor kahunas is a good substitute for 8 gym leaders who you set to a certain standards for battling. And I know I just said Sun Moon was last. Sorry, it's almost 4 in the morning. I've been at this for a while. I guess, yeah, then you know what the very bottom is. So Sword and Shield. Sword and Shield. Similar things. I was happy when it came out. The graphics were a noticeable upgrade. Not a massive one, though, from Sun Moon. For me, though, I guess it's just three things. It's not as big for me, but a lot of people are upset about Dexgate. I don't play Pokemon competitively, so it doesn't make a difference for me. It's a set of games that I'll play when they come out every 3 years. I don't even bother really filling out the Pokédex. These new games are the first time I've done it since the original games with the assistance of Game Shark. For me, it's time consuming and a waste. Whatever, everyone enjoys things for different reasons. So, when it comes out, then a big thing for me is the game fun? How's the story? Is there anything that I think is new about it and unique? Um, but Dexgate obviously doesn't affect that for me. I don't care if I can transfer all my Pokemon. So I recognize though that this was heartbreaking. Like I've heard people like the friend I brought up earlier, he was heartbroken. Like he didn't finish the game. And I can see that. If you put your time into this, you collect all these Pokemon, you battle them, and you can't use them, that's just mean. Game Freak and Nintendo should have no technical excuses. If they wanted to make this happen, even if the games came out a whole year later, they could have done it. They could have done updates. They could have done patches. The expansion pack should have been a reason to do this, and they didn't. Secondly, I thought the group that they had was the worst group, and I still think it's the worst group they have in the franchise for the enemies. It's a joke. I mean, really. Um, and honestly, there was a lot of things I liked about it aesthetically. I loved the countryside. I thought that was very beautiful. But to be honest with you, at the same time, I'm not a fan of, like I said, I'm a historian, and the Industrial Revolution for me is, I'm not a complete Luddite. Those are people who destroyed machines because they thought that it turned people into wage slaves, which it did. Just study the Gilded Age. By the way, if your kid's watching this, uh, keep an eye on your grades, especially your history class. Now, with that said, I don't like the look of industrial. Steampunk is pretty good, but the point is, they have that with these games being based on England. And also, my friend pointed out, the same one I brought up, his mother's from the UK. And I was asking him, hey, is this accurate? And I do like how they tried with slangs, and he said they were starting to lay it on a little thick. They make it way too contemporary and really, really pushing it. Um, and, I don't dislike Leon, but I thought it got kind of annoying how they kept on pushing the whole he is the champion and the whole brands on his cape, referencing soccer stars. Yeah, and at the end of the day, it's enough that these games are at the bottom for me. Um, they weren't bad. Um, I really haven't played through any of these games and been like, well, that was a complete waste of 20, 30 hours of my life, depending on how much I completed everything. I played every game through, too, as far as storylines go, including post game storylines. But the point is, I never feel like I wasted my time. So if you are someone who is new to the franchise and you want to try everything, don't let the ranking of any of these games scare you away from enjoying them yourself. There's a guideline based on one person's thoughts and ideas. Anyway, that's about it. Talk to you later.